She spent just $5 on a fake boyfriend this Christmas, and what she discovered was incredible. Emma stood in the warmth of her mother's kitchen, the sweet aroma of cinnamon and baked dough swirling around her like an embrace. Christmas lights twinkled from their spaces around the cozy Maplewood home, but the nostalgia now felt heavy. Every year the family gathering sparkled with love, laughter, and togetherness, and yet she found herself drowning in the stillness of her single life. The pitying looks, the urgent questions about her love life. Where would she go next if she fell into her family's expectations? This year would not be the same. With her siblings happily paired off like the characters in her cherished holiday movies, she decided to take matters into her own hands. A mere $5 spent on a rental boyfriend online felt absurd but liberating. Mike seemed charming enough through the pixelated screen, and the idea of dodging dinner table inquiries about future plans sparked an inexplicable thrill. Could this whimsical solution deflect the probing gaze of her father, always keen on defining her happiness? Sitting in the classroom, she considered her decision further. Every day she was the composed high school teacher, guiding her students with steady hands. Yet beneath her professional demeanor lay a tumult of doubt and insecurity. What if Mike didn't show? What if her family saw through the charade? The flickering fluorescent lights overhead felt cruel as her mind raced through possible scenarios, her breathing quickening at each thought. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the day illuminated into the night of the gathering, Mike's arrival punctured her unease. His smile was genuine, his laughter infectious, and the instant connection ignited something deep within her, a forgotten longing. But as the family festivities unfolded, layers of her life became tangled with his. The more he revealed, the more she found herself lulled away from her solemn existence. Mike was a dreamer, painting canvases with colors life had dulled down for her. While the warmth clung to their shoulders, a sudden chill hit when her father, with his commanding voice, began to inquire about Mike's background. Laughter faded as her heart thudded ominously. Her fear lingered delicately between fascination and dread. Could she trust him? Or was this an elaborate ruse beneath grasping hands? The night spiraled into a defined moment as tension hung between them, clutched by traditions Emma had carried since childhood. Standing before the flickering Christmas lights, she confronted her conflicting emotions. Was she willing to embrace this unexpected joy if it was built on deceit? Or would her father's reverence for honesty shatter the fragile connection she found herself nurturing? Each question left her breathless, teetering on the edge of growing affection and cultural expectations. The stakes had risen. The distance from her newly blossomed happiness to her family's legacy felt like a chasm too wide to cross. Emma's heart raced as she faced a breaking point, torn between her dreams and the weight of the truth that loomed closer with every passing second. The remaining hours of the evening morphed into a kaleidoscope of laughter and forced smiles. Emma felt as if she were an imposter in a life not distinctly her own. Each joke, each toast to familial joy, only deepened her anxiety, hammering home the false narrative she had created. As Mike charmed everyone with tales of adventure and close-knit friendships, she felt herself both enchanted and haunted, drawn in by his charisma, yet shackled by the secrecy of their arrangement. After dinner, while the family transitioned to their favorite Christmas tradition, playing board games, Emma found herself running her fingers over the smooth surface of the table in a futile attempt to gather her scattered thoughts. She glanced at Mike, who effortlessly rallied the crowd with his infectious enthusiasm, and for a moment, she was swept away by the idea that life could indeed be vibrant again, filled with spontaneity and joy. But as the game progressed, her father's gaze fell upon her, penetrating in its expectation. "So, Mike, how did you meet Emma?" he asked, eyes dancing with curiosity that masked deeper scrutiny. Her heart sank. This was the moment she had dreaded the most. With a confident smile, Mike turned to Emma, and for a brief, thrilling heartbeat they shared a look of unspoken understanding. Was this the part where they would craft an origin story filled with serendipity? Would this be a new chapter of their lives, constructed on whimsy and shared laughter rather than deceit? Funny story, actually, he began, his voice adeptly weaving humor and sincerity. Yet as he laughed, she felt the weight of the truth pulling on her heart more forcefully. As Mike spun a tale about a chance meeting at a coffee shop, Emma's mind drifted. She asked herself what this facade meant for her. Was she, in using Mike as a shield, buying into a life she had philosophically rejected? Internally, questions gnawed at her. Wasn't she more than just an extension of her family's narrative? How long could she coordinate this charade? Each lie stemmed from the well-intentioned desire to protect herself, but at what cost? Mike's laughter echoed in her ears, yet all she could hear were the ticking seconds of her own self-deception. As the game continued, Emma felt a rising tide of resolve. If she wanted to redefine her story, this could be an opportunity to reclaim her narrative, fortified by honesty rather than illusion. A chance to be the architect of her aspirations rather than a puppet to her family's expectations. That evening, while her family immersed themselves in laughter, she seized an unexpected moment of clarity. Was Mike in her life simply as an accomplice in her masquerade? Or could this connection, the flickers of authenticity she sensed, become something deeper? As the clock struck 10 and shadows stretched across the room, Emma reached a pivotal decision. It was time to approach Mike, to unveil her intentions and examine their burgeoning relationship. As she stood amidst the warmth, the flickering lights dimmed around them, trapping the essence of a fragile moment suspended in time. Her heart thrummed with equal parts excitement and apprehension. What if Mike was more than a mere prop in this elaborate game? What if he too shared layers of complexity yet to be uncovered? As she crossed the threshold between fear and possibility, she knew she was at a crossroads. The moment had come to confront not just Mike, but herself. The truth hung in the air, ready to be grasped, and the potential for profound discovery shimmered tantalizingly. Would she be brave enough to let go of the facade, no matter the repercussions? The tentative nature of her forthcoming inquiry settled around her. Emma took a deep breath, nerves dancing within her. With each step toward him, she understood she was no longer merely a participant in her own play. She was ready to take charge of her role, views, vulnerabilities, and all. But would Mike respond with honesty? Or would the safety of their disguise slip through their fingers like grains of sand? In that electrifying moment, she sensed the thrilling uncertainty of what lay ahead. Every choice hinged on an unspoken truth, waiting, just out of reach. Emma stood at the fringe of her family's laughter, the warmth of the holiday spirit contrasting starkly with the cold clenching in her belly. It was now or never. The distance between her and Mike felt both insignificant and insurmountable, a gap filled with expectations, fears, and the swirling shadows of her own self-doubt. As she approached, her pulse quickened, the colorful lights from the tree casting flickering patterns across Mike's face. He was engrossed in conversation, effortlessly winning over her brothers with tales of daring escapades. She felt a pang of envy at his natural charm. If only she could harness that energy, perhaps her own truth would release its stranglehold on her. "Hey, Mike," she said, her voice shaking slightly as she fought to keep the tremor at bay. He turned to her, relatively unfazed. "Emma, join us. We were just debating who'd win in a fight, Superman or Batman. I'm pretty sure I'm winning here." The warmth of his smile temporarily disarmed her, but she had a mission that no playful banter could deter. "Can we talk for a second, just you and me?" His brow furrowed slightly and he glanced at her family for a beat before giving her a nod. They stepped away from the commotion, finding a quieter corner where they could hear the crackling fire over the banter of her family. "What's up? You look a bit serious," Mike observed, his light-hearted demeanor fading slightly. I think we need to talk about us," Emma decided, the words tumbling out before she could second-guess herself. "I don't want to keep pretending anymore." Mike's expression transitioned from casual curiosity to genuine concern. Pretending? About what? The holiday fun? Because honestly, everyone seems to love you. No. I mean this, she gestured between them, the weight of her confession heavy in the air. About us being together. I didn't tell you, but I brought you into my life as, like, an illusion. I'm not sure if this is a dating thing or just a way to escape. Mike's eyes narrowed slightly, processing her words rapidly. So, you don't see me as your boyfriend? His tone held a tinge of hurt that tugged at her conscience. I didn't think about it like that, she admitted, her resolve teetering. But now, being here, seeing how natural you are with my family, it makes me question everything. This was supposed to be temporary. But now, the honesty spilled out and Emma felt both liberated and terrified. What if we did explore what this could be for real? I want to find my own path, but I need clarity first. I don't want to hurt you, Mike. A silence edged into the space between them, thick and tangled with unspoken emotions. Mike scrunched his brow, clearly wrestling with his next words. Emma, being with you even under these pretending circumstances has been refreshing. I've enjoyed it. But if you're hesitating, I can't be the guy who pushes you into anything. But what if I want to understand what we could actually be? What you could mean to my life, she confessed, pressing against her own uncertainty. What was she really offering? The idea of vulnerability was disheartening, yet empowering. His expression grew contemplative. Then maybe we need to be completely honest, for real. Is there a chance you could want this? Or do you just crave something different from the life you're leading? Emma felt the truth dawning on her like a sunrise breaking through the haze. The cracks in her carefully constructed defenses seemed to deepen and swell with clarity. I think it could be within reach, she whispered. But I need to confront many things. My family's dreams, my own desires, and maybe the fear of being scared, of being vulnerable. As their eyes locked, Emma saw in Mike not just an accomplice but a partner who could grapple alongside her toward self-discovery. A tumult of questions clouded her mind, but amidst the chaos lurked the tantalizing prospect of authenticity. Let's be honest with each other, Mike suggested, an invitation barely disguising his own misgivings. But this also means risking something real. Are you prepared for that? His words swirled around her, pushing her toward a greater understanding of herself. Emma inhaled deeply, resolving to embrace whatever lay ahead. Could she thrive in honesty? As she opened her mouth to respond, the echo of laughter drew closer, the music of her family nearing their makeshift retreat. Fragments of joy hummed in the air, but above it all was a chilling and evocative realization. The simplicity of honesty in a complicated world beckoned. Let's take this step by step, she finally declared, setting the stage not only for her relationship with Mike, but for the journey toward her own identity. But in the depths of her heart, a lingering uncertainty remained. Would this newfound honesty spark liberation, or would it unravel her even further? And as she stepped back toward the warmth of her family, her path remained suspended on the brink of discovery. What truths awaited her just beneath the surface of commitment? The following morning, Emma woke with a blend of confusion and determination swirling in her mind. Sunlight penetrated her bedroom window, illuminating the remnants of her conversation with Mike. The room felt both familiar and constrictive. Days of laughter had been shared under this roof, yet there was an urge within her to break free from this time-worn pattern. As she sat up, the events of last night played back in her thoughts. The idea of taking steps toward vulnerability terrified her, a stark threat to the comfort she'd built around herself. But the lingering warmth from their exchange hinted at something far more profound. Perhaps what she feared was exactly what she needed to explore. Stumbling into the living room, she found her family gathered around the breakfast table, their joy filling the air with a festive hum. Laughter and conversation mingled, yet Emma felt detached, a quiet observer amidst the riot of familial love. Her mother's enthusiastic chatter pulled her attention momentarily. Emma, darling, come join us. We're making plans for the new year. The hopeful gleam in her mother's eyes sparked a familiar tension. A weighty expectation hung in the air, one Emma had felt countless times before. What plans? More family gatherings? She asked, forcing a casual tone despite the internal clanging of anxiety. Her mother, undeterred, replied, "We thought it would be wonderful for all of us to take a family trip. Just think of the memories we could create." Memories, yes. But did those memories align with what Emma genuinely aspired to accomplish? The thought prickled at her, igniting a flicker of rebellion against the outcomes her family seemed to envision for her. "Can we discuss something?" Emma announced suddenly, disrupting the flow of laughter. The table silenced, her family's expectations shifting to her. Her brothers exchanged glances. Curiosity sparked while her mother leaned forward in eagerness. "Of course, sweetheart. What do you have on your mind?" Feeling the room close in once more, Emma took a slow breath, aware of the importance of this moment. "I've been thinking about my career, my choices, and what I truly want." "More like what you're forced to want?" one brother jokingly interjected, breaking the tension momentarily. "Actually, no," Emma replied, summoning more strength than she felt. "I've realized that I need to take charge. I want to explore my own path, outside the expectations." Her mother's brows knitted together, concern clouding her features. "Emma, we just want what's best for you. What if what's best for me looks completely different than what you envisioned?" Emma felt the weight of her statement settle upon their breakfast table. "Are you sure this is about your desires?" her mother challenged gently, yet her tone was laced with defensiveness, a mother shielding her child. "Or is it about escaping the comfortable life we've provided?" An internal battle stirred within Emma. The pressure of conformity battled against her desire for authenticity. "It's not about escaping," she clarified, a tremble in her voice betraying her resolve. "It's about being honest with myself, and with you. Exploring what I want, not what's been laid out for me." Silence filled the air, pressing in as Emma's words sank in. She felt a mixture of vulnerability and courage. They were moments that stirred both fear and anticipation, shaking the ground beneath the family dynamics she'd known her entire life. The conversation shifted, and inquisitive questions replaced jabs of skepticism. Surprisingly, the exchanges that followed were animated, leading to discussions of her passions and interests long buried beneath expectations. By the end of brunch, Emma felt the stirrings of empowerment she craved. The haze of trepidation began to clear, replaced by the fresh scent of possibility. As Emma retreated to her room, the goal of authenticity pulsated within her. She knew that with each step toward expressing her true self came the risk of unsettling those she loved. Was she ready to confront the backlash that might come with her newfound commitment to honesty? Resolved, Emma grabbed her notebook and began to jot down the things she wanted to explore. Each word transformed from mere thoughts into potential realities. But this wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning of her personal revolution. Outside her door, laughter erupted again, joyful yet distant. Just beyond that threshold lay the comfort she had long clung to, no longer insulating her from growth, but challenging her to leap. And as she finished her notes, a feeling unfurled within Emma. What might be waiting for her on the other side? Uncertainty gripped her, but so did a budding conviction that she was worth the effort. Her phone buzzed, a message flashing from Mike. Ready to explore together? Could she take that next step? Or would she allow her fears to hijack this newfound momentum? The answer loomed just out of reach, urging her to make the leap. The morning sun poured through the blinds, illuminating the notes Emma had scribbled late into the night. Her heart raced as she reread her own words. A call to adventure, an insistence to break free from confines. Mike's message still hung in the air, alive with unexamined possibilities that pulled at the hem of her hesitations. What awaited her if she chose to respond? After a moment of deliberation, Emma grabbed her phone and typed back, "Yes, let's meet." The simple affirmation bore a weight she hadn't anticipated. In that instant, she felt tentative but resolute, like a diver standing on the edge of a high board, ready to plunge into the depths below. Arriving at the cafe 15 minutes later, Emma took a moment to breathe, scanning the room before spotting Mike at a small table, flipping through a travel magazine. A corner of her mouth quirked upward involuntarily. The ease of familiarity she felt was offset by the question lingering at the back of her mind. Was she finally prepared to be vulnerable? "Hey, you made it," he greeted with a warm smile, his eyes brightening as their gazes met. Emma could sense a shift in her chest, the nervous tension softened by his presence. "Yeah, I've been thinking," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. "About what we talked about the other night. Exploring together. It's something I really want to do." "That's amazing, Emma," he enthused. "I was hoping you'd say that. What do you have in mind?" Emma hesitated, her mind racing through possibilities. A collage of dreams danced before her. Cooking classes, art exhibitions, even solo trips. Yet all that settled into her heart was one clear resolution: to uncover her authentic self through experience, not just reflection. "I thought maybe we could work on a project together," Emma finally proposed. "Something that mixes adventure with creativity, a photography journey." "Photography?" Mike repeated, curiosity sparking in his voice. "Yeah," she said, her confidence building. "I used to love taking pictures, capturing moments. It's like a lens through which I see the world. I want to revive that passion." Mike leaned in, encouraging her. "You should. Think about all the stories waiting to be told through your eyes. We can start this weekend, right?" The enthusiasm between them ignited an unexplained excitement in Emma. She nodded, planning the next steps in her mind, scouting locations, learning the intricacies of better equipment, and rediscovering her voice. It was more than just a project. It felt like a lifeline, a means to wrestle with her fears directly. As they spoke, Emma found herself sharing pieces of her life, layers she had kept hidden from the world, including her struggle with her family's expectations. Mike listened, his expression warm and understanding, encouraging her to delve deeper. Each revelation felt like peeling back a layer of her own skin, exposing raw vulnerability that was terrifying, yet freeing. "I've always felt like I had to fit into a mold," Emma admitted, her voice carrying a tinge of sadness. "But I don't want that anymore. I want to create, to experience." Mike nodded intently. "That's the spirit of exploration. Just take it one step at a time. The world is full of opportunities waiting for you." For the first time in a while, Emma let a small smile grace her lips. She felt seen, validated, and connected, not just to Mike, but to her own building courage. Hours passed as they mapped out their plans, laughter and shared excitement weaving a deeper bond. The fear of the unknown dulled around them as they focused on their goals. But as Emma left the cafe, the lingering unease returned. She couldn't escape the gravity of her family's expectations weighing heavily on her shoulders. Would they accept this new path she was forging? What would happen when they found out about her project with Mike? The question loomed as she arrived home. A stark contrast between the world outside and the confines of her family's expectations. And yet amid all the noise, a flicker of courage ignited within her, urging her to prepare for the storm ahead. As she stood in the doorway of her room, a final vibration from her phone broke the silence. A message from Mike popped up. "Let's make this journey unforgettable, no holds barred." Emma couldn't shake the apprehension still clinging to her. What exactly awaited her as she stepped off this precipice of vulnerability? The exploration hadn't truly begun yet, and already her heart raced at the thought of what was to come. Could she truly embrace this shift? The moment felt critical, a pivot point that could lead to profound discovery or crushing doubt. The question now lingered: what challenges and revelations awaited her on this path that would test every ounce of her newfound determination? Emma stood paralyzed for a moment, the weight of Mike's words settling around her like a heavy cloak. How easy it was to feel exhilarated among the coffee-fueled anticipation of new adventures, yet just as quickly plunged into the icy waters of familial expectations. Her thoughts raced and collided, promising thrills of exploration while whispering cautionary tales of judgment and disappointment. That night, she lay in bed, the harsh glow of her phone illuminating the photographs she had taken as a teenager. Each shot was filled with the spark of spontaneous joy, capturing innocent moments infused with genuine laughter and life. She flipped through them, bathing in nostalgia. But along with that joy grew the foreboding realization that showcasing these passions might lead to disapproval from those she loved most, namely, her parents. In the dawn light, Emma steeled herself. Their perspectives on success and safety had shadowed her life, but as she savored the taste of decision, something new ignited in her, a rebellious ember of independence. She needed to embrace that feeling like armor as she prepared for the coming weekend. On Saturday, when she met Mike, the morning sun painted the world in breathtaking hues. "Ready for our adventure?" he asked, his enthusiasm contagious. "Absolutely," she said, taking a deep breath to center herself. "I've put together a list of places that inspire me." Mike scanned the list, nodding with excitement, but then paused. "Let's think outside the box. What about going somewhere less conventional, but more meaningful? Something that tells a story that isn't just picturesque." A twinge of panic tugged at her gut. "But wouldn't that be more real?" he finished, raising an eyebrow. "I mean, isn't that what we want?" Emma hesitated, the pull of her parents' expectations grinding against this newfound taste for authenticity. There was a part of her that wanted to shout, "Yes." That inner voice that longed for unfiltered expression emerged more confidently. "You're right. I think we should do it." They decided on an old town square known for its faded architecture and gritty charm. Emma felt a little shiver of excitement coursing through her as they explored, the vibrant flashes of their cameras capturing the stories hidden in the crumbling walls and fleeting glances of passers-by. With each click of her shutter, she began to assert herself more. "This place tells a story of lost time, doesn't it?" she remarked, feeling emboldened. Like every crack holds a secret. As they created art in tandem, she noticed how Mike seemed to pull more of her energy from the shadows as they worked. His genuine interest in her perspective drew her out of her shell, allowing her to manifest emotions through every frame. The nervousness over judgments began to loosen its grip. When they took a well-deserved break, sitting side by side on an old wooden bench, Emma unexpectedly opened up. "I've spent so long hiding what I love. I used to think getting a stable, traditional job was the only way to prove my worth," she admitted, watching the passers-by curiously blend into the scenery. "But here it feels different." "This is where you rediscover yourself," Mike interjected gently. "Not everyone needs to understand your journey, Emma. Just be true to yourself." As they continued talking, Emma's vulnerability began to turn into a resolute clarity about the life she wanted to forge. The notion of writing her own story and pursuing passion, instead of expectation, burned brightly within her. But when they wrapped up their day and made their way back to the car, she froze. A text notification from her mother popped up. It read, "We need to talk. Are you on your way home?" A cold wave of apprehension washed over her. What awaited her on that side of town? Would this confrontation pull her back into the mold she was so desperately breaking free from? In that moment, Emma faced a choice: to retreat to the familiarity of family pressures or to stand her ground and embrace the uncertain path ahead that promised authenticity. With adrenaline surging, she turned to Mike, her heart racing at the thought of the decision looming before her. Was she truly prepared to confront the expectations tethering her to a predetermined future? As she took a deep breath, the lingering question arose. What would happen when she finally faced her family? Emma climbed into the car with Mike, the tension radiating from her tightening chest. As he started the engine, she could feel her thoughts spiraling. What could her mother possibly want to discuss? "Everything okay?" Mike asked, glancing sideways. She forced out a half smile. "Yeah, just my mom wants to talk. It's probably nothing." But inside, doubt looped like a broken record, her heart echoing the words she'd dreaded hearing. "What have you done with your life?" As they navigated through familiar streets, Emma battled the familiar sense of suffocation, the idea of returning to the life that felt too small. The lingering sentiment that pursuing art could never match the safety of a predictable job gnawed at her, a voice that echoed loudly in her upbringing. When they arrived at her home, the air felt thick with unspoken expectations. "You got this," Mike said softly as they parked. "Thanks," she murmured, clutching her phone tightly. Stepping out of the car, she felt the weight of her decision dragging her down like a heavy anchor. Inside, the house greeted her with the warmth she had known all her life. Faded photographs of family trips hung on the walls like painted reminders of joy faded into obligation. Her mother stood in the living room, arms crossed, a worried frown creasing her brow. "Emma," her mother began, the tone indicative of a seriousness that made her stomach churn. "We need to talk about your future." The words echoed in her mind, amplifying her anxiety. The discussion about her life's direction felt like a maze, and she was standing at the entrance, ready to spiral in any direction. "Sure, what's on your mind?" Emma replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Your father and I have been talking," her mother continued, "and we're really concerned about your photography. We just want you to be safe and, practical." A spark ignited within Emma, a fierce determination that she hadn't felt before. "I understand that you worry, but I can't just do something that makes me unhappy. I want to explore my passion." Her mother's eyes widened. "Passion doesn't pay the bills. I just want you to have security." The argument permeated, looming like clouds overhead. "But isn't happiness worth something? I can find a way to balance it," Emma countered, her pulse quickening, emboldened by the day's events with Mike. "Balance? It feels like you're throwing everything away for a whim," her mother replied, disappointment drafting her words with a heavy brush. That familiar sinking feeling returned. The guilt of wanting to break away clashed with the weight of love and care emanating from her mother. Would she truly throw away a stable life for an uncertain path? "Mom, I'm not throwing everything away. I'm trying to build something authentic, something that represents who I am," Emma stated, finding her voice amid the clamor of expectations. For a moment her mother's gaze softened and Emma saw a flicker of understanding. "I just don't want you to struggle," she said quietly. Taking a deep breath, Emma realized this moment was about more than just a conversation. This was about redefining herself amidst the shadows of family norms. "I need you to trust that I can find my own way, even if it's not the path you envisioned." As the silence stretched out between them, Emma felt the rising tide of conviction. She would no longer cower beneath expectations. The thought gave her a strange sense of peace, as if she was shedding layers of conformity like a skin. "I'll always support you, but I hope you really think this through," her mother finally replied, the hint of hesitation lingering in her voice. Emma glanced back at her mother, feeling a mixture of sadness and resolve. "I will," she said. Reaching out as a parting gesture, she turned on her heel and returned to the car where Mike waited. "How did it go?" he asked, the genuine concern in his eyes providing a comforting contrast to the turmoil she'd just faced. "Better than I expected," she replied, the fight echoing inside her mind now mingled with hope. But just as she settled into the passenger seat, her phone buzzed again, a message from her father now. "About your future. We need to discuss things in person." Emma's heart sank. The opportunity for further confrontation loomed closer, and she realized that this battle was far from over. She looked at Mike, determination rekindled anew, yet uncertainty still hung in the air. "Guess he wants a piece of the conversation too." Mike's encouraging smile met her gaze. "You can handle whatever comes next." What she didn't know was how deeply this conversation would test not only her resolve, but also unlock a side of her she had yet to discover. Emma sat quietly in the passenger seat, her thoughts racing. Mike turned on the radio, but she barely heard the familiar tunes. Instead, a storm of emotions brewed within her, the impending conversation with her father weighing down her spirit. Their opinions felt like chains, binding her to expectations she had struggled to escape. She could almost hear her father's voice echoing the same concerns her mother had voiced. "Why can't they just understand?" she muttered under her breath, not fully aware that Mike was listening. "What was that?" he asked gently, still focused on the road. "Nothing. Just thinking about everything," she replied, her voice trailing off. He easily picked up on her frustration. "You know, this is your life, right? Your choice." His encouragement opened a door to thoughts she hadn't fully explored. Could she step off the conventional path and forge her own? All her life, she had adhered to the comforting certainty of tradition. But now, after her conversation with her mother, a shift was happening. "Maybe it's time for me to show them I can do this for real," she said, the realization crystallizing in her mind. "That's the spirit. You should show them your work, share your vision. Sometimes seeing is believing," Mike suggested with a subtle grin. Emma contemplated this as they drove. Her photography was a visceral manifestation of her identity, and sharing it with her parents could be both liberating and terrifying. Maybe she could express herself without fear, without hesitation. "You're right. I'll prepare a presentation of my best work and explain why it matters to me," she decided, her heartbeat increasing at the thought of confronting her father head-on. "Sounds like a plan. You've got to own this," Mike encouraged, nodding in affirmation. Determination surged within Emma like a wave as they pulled up outside her apartment. It was modest, but it was hers. A space decorated with photographs depicting her experiences, thoughts, and captures from life. As she stepped inside, she let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. This was her sanctuary, a place where she could genuinely express herself. The idea of sharing her work with her parents stirred both dread and excitement within her. What if they still didn't understand? Scrolling through her portfolio, she felt a sense of pride mixed with vulnerability. The images comprised more than just snapshots. They encapsulated her dreams, fears, and her evolution. Each one told a story that could possibly bridge the chasm between her aspirations and her family's expectations. Over the next few days, Emma meticulously prepared her presentation, belief strengthening with each photo she selected. She carefully chose pieces that represented not only her passion but her growth, hoping they might resonate with her father. A flicker of confidence lit within her, overshadowing the familiar doubts. As she drove to her father's house a few days later, the weight of that flicker transformed into a steady flame. This meeting was more than a conversation. It would be a defining moment. Would she manage to articulate her vision without shrinking under the weight of their skepticism? Arriving at his home, she took a deep breath before stepping out of the car. Emma felt the cool air on her skin, invigorating her spirit. She knocked on the door, heart racing, and when it opened, her father's puzzled expression settled into a neutral mask. "Emma, you're early," he said, glancing at the envelope she held tightly in her hands. "Can we talk?" she asked, determination mingling with a hint of anxiety. "Of course, come in." As they moved into the open living room, Emma sensed the moment had arrived. The weight of expectations loomed large, but inside her, a newfound resolve surged. This was her chance to reclaim her narrative. Just as she was about to open the envelope, her father's phone buzzed persistently, a distraction that shattered the stillness. Emma's heart sank, but she breathed through the frustration. "Sorry, it's work," he muttered apologetically, before silence fell again, thick with the unsaid. The moment lingered, just as Emma's thoughts did, vulnerable yet powerful. This confrontation had the potential to unravel everything she feared or redefine it entirely. Would her father's need for control or her need for authenticity dominate the conversation today? As she prepared to unveil her heart's work, she trembled with anticipation, aware that what lay ahead could either break or solidify who she was destined to become. What awaited her? Would the truth help her father understand, or would it drive them further apart? The potential for transformation crackled in the air like electricity, revealing the thrilling uncertainty that accompanied such pivotal moments. Emma steadied herself, ready to face the next challenge of self-discovery. Emma stood at the threshold of her father's living room, a realm of doubt and expectation colliding in the sacred space she was about to enter. The vibrating pulse of her heart accompanied the rustle of the envelope under her arm. The barrier between the woman she had become and the little girl who sought her father's approval felt impossibly fragile. As her father took a seat across from her, Emma felt the weight of his scrutinizing gaze. She had anticipated this moment, imagined it in vivid color during sleepless nights, yet nothing could prepare her for the quagmire of emotions flooding her mind. "Everything okay?" he asked, his brows furrowed slightly. "Yeah, great," she replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. His expression remained unreadable, a mask built over years and shaped by his own life experiences. Emma wanted to shatter that facade, to reveal the man behind it. She thought of the photographs, how each one thawed the freezing grip of her insecurities, whispering affirmations of her journeys and dreams. Taking a deep breath, she opened the envelope, revealing the prints of her best work, each image an assertion of her existence. "I wanted to share something with you," she began, her voice wavering as she laid the first photo on the table between them. "This is titled Solitude in Dusk. It captures a moment I spent reflecting on, well, who I want to be." The sun had been setting behind the mountains, casting a glow that seemed to echo her internal struggle. This was the beginning of her sharing, weaving through each image with intention, hoping for connection. Her father leaned in, studying the shots, his brows knitting together in concentration. "It's beautiful," he said, unexpected admiration threading through his tone. Yet, she could not shake the feeling that he was merely being polite. "Thank you," she replied, emboldened. "But it's more than just beauty. It's about my journey. Each image tells a part of my story, and I hope to show you why photography means so much to me." He glanced up, his intensity almost penetrating. "You mean to say this is what you want to do? You think a few pictures can define your future?" The challenge was undeniable, sparking old wounds. Did he really think so little of her passion? "It's more than just taking pictures, Dad. It's about expressing who I am and finding freedom through this art. I want to live my life authentically, not just follow a safe path laid out for me." An uncomfortable silence settled between them. The walls felt like they were closing in, and Emma realized this was not just about her art. It was about the truth of who she was and the courage it took to share it. Just when she expected rebuttals, she saw something flicker in his eyes, perhaps confusion or confrontation. "And what if it doesn't work out? What then?" His words sliced through the air with a hesitance that hinted at his own fears and regrets. "I won't know unless I try," she voiced, steadiness washing over her. "I might fail, but at least it will be my failure, not one defined by someone else's expectations." As she spoke, a transformation washed over her, insecurities turning into conviction. The vulnerability of sharing her passion melted into a fierce resolve. This was not merely about convincing her father, it was about standing firm in her identity, regardless of the outcome. The tension hung thick, but Emma felt a shift. She was no longer the child seeking validation, but rather a woman brandishing her authenticity like armor. As she prepared to present one final image, the urgency of the moment pulsed in the air. "Dad, I need you to understand. This is who I am," she articulated, revealing a photo of herself, captured amidst a crowd yet distinctly alone. "This is In the Midst, an exploration of finding oneself in the noise of life. I want you to see me." As her voice trailed off, the room seemed to hold its breath. Would he see? Would he understand? The moment of self-discovery hung in the balance, each heartbeat echoing the anticipation of a new direction for both her life and her relationship with her father. Would he embrace her courage, or would he reinforce the walls of tradition once more? Emma clenched her jaw, resolute in her determination, ready to face whatever came next. As the silence stretched taut in the room, Emma felt her heart race like a drum echoing against the barriers she had fought against for so long. Her father stared at the photo, brow furrowed, processing her revelation while emotions churned beneath the surface. She held her breath, praying for a sliver of understanding, a bridge to connect their worlds. Her father drew in a slow, careful breath. This is different," he finally remarked, his tone balancing skepticism and curiosity. I can see the intention behind it, and it's inspiring. Emma's heart fluttered momentarily. Could this be the breakthrough she had longed for? Dad, this isn't just a whim. It's about embracing who I want to be, not just what's expected of me. I want to create, to tell stories that matter, stories that define my journey. His expression softened slightly, but Emma noticed a flicker of concern still nestled within. What if those stories don't bring success? This is a tough industry, Emma. Tough doesn't mean unworthy, she countered, confidence rising like the sun she had captured in countless frames. I need to know that I tried. If I succeeded or struggled, at least it would be my journey. For a moment, time felt still as they locked eyes. She hadn't just laid bare her dreams. She'd faced the reality of their conversations and sought to transform them one image at a time. The thought of validation danced tantalizingly close. What if he stood beside her rather than building walls? After what felt like an eternity, her father leaned back in his chair, a contemplative expression knitting his brow. You've clearly thought this through, he admitted, a hint of respect lacing his voice. But it's your life to shape. Just know that I can only support so much if I see you struggling. I get that, Dad. All I ask is for a chance, to let me find my way. You won't have to worry. I'm determined. He nodded slowly, the flicker of pride surfacing against the storm of his caution. You have always been headstrong, he said, a wry smile creeping onto his lips, which at least gives me comfort that you won't take this lightly. An exhale of relief escaped her. The ice between them began to thaw. Thank you for being open, Dad. It means more than you know. Just promise me you'll keep us updated? I want to understand your journey, he replied, the sincerity in his voice warming the lingering chill of uncertainty. I promise, Emma said, her heart swelling with joy at the validation. As they transitioned to lighter topics, the conversation turned to family tales, bridging the gap that had felt so unbridgeable only moments before. Emma realized the conversation with her father had transformed her relationship with herself as well. Each exchange of words was a stepping stone. She felt sprinkled pieces of confidence stitching themselves together, a tapestry of acceptance and newfound courage unfurling within her. Driving back home, a wave of exhilaration rolled over her. She was not merely a dreamer, she was a doer with a defined purpose, ignited by affirmations of her worth. With each click of her shutter, she could capture her life's journey, translating it into a powerful narrative both personal and universal. At home, her phone buzzed with a message from Mike. Excitement tinged with the promise of adventure filled her veins once more. How did it go? There was understanding, Mike. I think I can finally be both me and the daughter they want me to be, she typed back, exhilaration spilling from her fingers. The joyous pulse of creativity surged within her. She envisioned future projects, traveling with a camera, capturing beauty where it felt fleeting and embracing authenticity at each turn. She reflected on how far she had come, how moments of sheer vulnerability had blossomed into opportunities for growth. As she sank onto her bed, she reveled in a sense of clarity. In affirming her passion, not only did she strengthen her sense of self, but she also forged a path toward a thriving relationship with her family. This was her moment of accomplishment, where self-discovery and acceptance intertwined beautifully, and when the doubts returned, as they sometimes would, Emma stood with ferocity, confident that she had the right to dictate her course. With a camera in hand and an open heart, she was ready to embark on this adventure of authenticity, turning every challenge into a canvas waiting to be painted. As she drifted into a peaceful slumber, the air around her felt electric, a permission for her to thrive. She had transcended doubt, transformed conflict into clarity, and woven a narrative that echoed with pride. The fullness of her spirit soared, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. To everyone invested in transformative journeys like Emma's, here is a pressing call to action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm's fire. Comment with your reactions and theories about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear Emma's story of self-discovery and courage. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for incredible tales. Don't wait even one more second to help spread these empowering messages.